Friends, Diana Lidstone here, and welcome to another edition of Guest Expert Talks, where I sit and have maybe a cup of coffee with somebody that I have met that I think is a guest, is an expert in their field, and that can bring you some value. So this morning, I have an amazing young woman who has written a book. Her name is Sylvia Inks. Interesting because she's written a book, so inks and book. But I met her through another mutual friend of mine who also did a guest spot on this. So that was Diana Needham. So Sylvia is the founder of SMI Financial Coaching, and she helps new and experienced, I guess it would be, seasoned is the word she uses actually, business owners get organized, use the right tools to manage their finances, and make better business decisions. And that is the key. So welcome aboard, Sylvia. Woohoo!
Thank you, Dinah. Thank you for having me.
Awesome, awesome, good. And yeah, I think Sylvia, the thing that I was really interested in, and I'm just looking, oh yeah, her best-selling book, the title is Small Business Finance for Busy Entrepreneur, Blueprint for Building a Solid, Profitable Business. And I went, that's it. Solid, profitable business. And for those people who are watching this, they know that I talk about building a profitable business. And so I thought that Sylvia and I were a little like minded, and that she probably could share some amazing tips with you today. So thank you again for coming on. You know, I'm always curious, Sylvia, and maybe you can answer this. How did you get started in this particular field?
I was taking time off from my corporate job. So I was in IT consulting for 10 years. I had been living the true consulting lifestyle, living in San Francisco, traveling, to different cities every week for work, even as far as the DC every week for about 6 months. And really, when it came down to needing to press pause on the crazy lifestyle, I actually took time out of corporate America. And I knew I always wanted to start a business, but I didn't know what that was going to look like. I went to the bookstores, I looked up franchises, I looked up, all these business ideas, and it always came down to finances. I knew I loved finances. I loved helping people get clarity around their finances. And what I knew best at the time was personal finances, right? That was what I had a lot of experience in. I had busy professionals who were making six-figure jobs but couldn't seem to understand why they needed money at the end of the day. So I ended up jumping in and found out about the Dave Ramsey's Financial Coaching Masters Series at the time. He was training financial coaches. And I was like, oh, this is exactly what I want to do. I want to help people with their money, but not necessarily help them invest it in the stock market, what a financial advisor would do. I had never heard the term financial coaches or money coaches. So I went in, did the training. It was a live training at the time. And I was around people that I really, really connected with. And I was like, these are people who want to help others with their money. And that was exactly what I wanted to do. So I did that in early 2015. Got into that, and as I started going to networking events, I actually met business owners. As I was telling them I was a personal finance coach, they actually said, "Hey, I need help with my finances. My personal finances and my business's finance are not great, but I'd rather hire you for my business." They're like, that way, it's not as emotional. You can help me with the business, and anything you teach me in business, I can take those lessons learned and take it to my personal life. So really it was kind of an evolution of going into personal finances and then seeing in the networking and entrepreneur space, found that so many entrepreneurs really didn't have a good handle on their money in their business. And so while they might look great on social media, they might have great followers, they might seem like they're doing great, behind the curtains, they would come to me and say, I'm actually not profitable. I'm embarrassed to admit this. I don't have any money. I need help.
I think that is, I think you hit the nail on the head. And you call it, pulling back the curtain. And the other analogy that I use is it's like an iceberg, about what you see above the water and what you see below the water. And truthfully, I think that a lot of people are watching these, and I'll use the term gurus on social media, and they're seeing these big businesses and they're seeing this
Yeah.
lifestyle and this amazing thing, and they think, oh, I just have to do a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and that's what my business is going to look like. But what they truly don't understand are the whole mechanics that are going on in the background, right? And, I've seen it time and time again where there's, a coach, and I'll say she, it could be he, they're talking about this and how their business reached this level and, follow my system. And then what happens is, and I've heard this time and time again, people buy into a program and then they find out that this coach is not really who they're getting the help from. They're getting it from somebody else who is another coach under this person. And they go, they don't realize that these big gurus, they have a whole machine, if I can call it that, in the background. And so, when you pull back the curtain or you look at below the surface, it's not always the same. Now, some of them are extremely successful, meaning profitable. But so I'm sure that if you've been doing this since 2015, you have some amazing stories that you might be able to share without, kind of putting names to them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I have one client who I worked with who, she kept saying, I don't understand why I don't have any money. At the end of the day, my products are, let's say it was $700 for each product. And she was like, I'm selling these high-end products. Why do I still not have money at the end of the day? She's like, I don't understand. So we walked through what I call the profitability exercise. So even it doesn't matter what your sales price or your retail price of your product or service is, it really comes down to what's the cost of goods sold or, the cost of service to provide each of these offerings that you provide. So I one of my exercises is literally walk through and say, pretend I'm a customer. I came in and I want to order your product or your service. Tell me every touch point that you take that actually, any time that's being spent or money that's being spent to deliver this product and offering out the door. And as we go through that, I had in this particular case, there's one client of mine who had a $700 product, and she walked through everything, and she told me, this one, sometimes I'll give a discount. I said, okay, well, tell me what that discount is. And I think it was 15 or 20% at the time. I said, okay. Well, I said, here's your profit margin before you gave the discount. And she looked at it and was completely shocked, right? She was like, oh, I forgot that I have to take out, my part-time person's salary or pay out of this. And then when we did the discount, her, mouth kind of dropped, and she realized that she gave the product completely away for free. After the discount, she lost $30 to $35 in giving that product at a discount. And because she didn't take that time to go through those numbers, she had no idea how much of a chunk of, giving a discount, which she saw as kind of a marketing tactic, right? Promotion. And she didn't realize that it was actually costing her, and she was actually losing money.
Yeah, I think that's...
So one of two things can happen, right? You can either increase your prices, or you can get rid of the discounts. Or third, find a way to decrease your cost of goods sold. So really, just taking that time, I think really it's for creative entrepreneurs, it's a little scary sometimes to go into the numbers. It's kind of like, oh, well, people are buying my products. I should be doing okay. But really, you do have to get down in the nitty gritty and figure out what does it actually cost you, so that you can make sure that you actually even have a price that, what your break-even price is. So you know what price that you need to sell the product or service at to even break even. And then you need to determine what profit margin do you want on top of that, and make sure you price accordingly.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I see a lot of entrepreneurs who don't even know what their monthly, I'll call them baseline expenses would be. And so I'm sure you run across the same thing.
Yes. Yes, and that's another exercise. That's actually an exercise going into this profitability that I do with my clients. I have them figure out what are all your financial obligations, both monthly and yearly, so that you can understand how much money is coming out of your business on average on a monthly basis, so you know what that break-even number is. So you know how much money you have to bring into your business just to break even on operating expenses, let alone from variable cost on your products and services that you deliver.
Right, right. And so we have baseline expenses that we have, operating costs. But then there's this good old thing called taxes that we have to pay. And we also should be paying ourselves, right?
Yes, absolutely. And the financial obligations kind of exercise that I go into, I actually have business owners include either their owner's draw or their salary in their monthly obligations, right? Because if we're not paying ourselves, essentially what we have is a hobby, right? We don't have the business. So I always tell everybody, even if you're just starting out, even if it's $20 a month that you're paying yourself, at least put that line item in, get into the practice of making sure that you're paying yourself first. And, that's fine if you're just starting out in your business and you can't afford to pay yourself quite yet, but you need to start with that in mind so that you can price yourself accordingly.
And I think that's so, so important because
And then
yeah, sorry. We've got a little bit of a time lag here. The internet's not the best this morning, but yeah, I think for entrepreneurs, they don't realize sometimes that they need to pay themselves. And they think, oh, well, I'm making this much money, and they have I think one of the big mistakes, and you can probably comment on this, is that they have their business and their personal commingled. And so they really don't know which is which. But I think from an emotional point of view that they need to pay themselves something so that they feel this emotion that they're actually being successful.
yes, absolutely. That, and as well as what I also see is, a lot of business owners who have agreed with their significant other or their family to start their business, right? Like for personal reasons, family reasons, and they're starting this business. But if there's never any return on investment, so if all that money's always being funneled back into business expenses or investments, and the family or the person, doesn't see that return on investment, that can also breed some, resentment, some just tension there. So you do want to treat it like a business and show, your business is successful. You're paying yourself an owner's draw. You're able to, help the family or your significant other, that your business is contributing to your personal life. So I think that's very, very important. And again, treating it like a business and not a hobby.
Right, right. So,
and then one thing I wanted to share was,
go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, in going through the financial obligations exercise with clients, what I tend to find is people don't realize subscriptions that they signed up for that they no longer use. Or maybe they signed up for it, now they don't even actually know what it's for. That's actually a very, very common one that I have. So a lot of times I've actually had clients who are paying, anywhere from $500 to $1,000 a month in subscriptions or services that are either duplicates or something that it no longer applies to their business, so they're not even using it, right? And so that's where sometimes I can find easily $500 to $1,000 extra just because of subscriptions or services that a business owner is no longer using, and they don't have a good place, like one place to see all those subscriptions. It's really easy to say, oh, I'm going to do this free trial, or I'm going to sign up for the subscription and just have that auto paid, especially those that are paid annually. Those are really, really easy to forget.
Yeah. I mean, $500 to $1,000. I mean, that's immediate hidden profits that they could be paying themselves, right?
Yes, absolutely. So that's where the light bulb, comes up, and it's, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that I've been paying, for two things that were exactly the same. I didn't realize that, or so that's, it's really, really easy to overlook those things. So definitely needing me to create a system and a process to be able to evaluate that and see all those, subscriptions all in one place that you've signed up for.
Yeah, awesome. Good.
Especially if you start bringing on, a partner, or you have a.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
We have a little time lag here. So I just actually had a call with a client yesterday, and she has a, COO or, CFO kind of on her team, and the two of them didn't realize that there was all these subscriptions that they signed up for. And, one person says, well, I don't even know what this does. So, a great exercise is also, as you're signing up for these subscriptions, making a note for yourself. What's the purpose of the subscription that I'm signing up for, this service that I'm signing up for? That way you can evaluate it once a year and realize, oh, well, this no longer applies to me. But if you have it all in one place and have your justification in one place, it's easy for, your CFO or your COO, somebody, or if you bring in a partner later on in your business, that way, you can kind of have a justification and purpose, and can be able to walk through and reference your notes for why you even signed up for this in the first place.
Yeah, I think, and I think there's other areas where entrepreneurs have hidden profit. So I was talking to somebody in my mastermind, and he was telling me about how he was spending marketing dollars in areas that were bringing him no return on investment. And I kind of went, well, why are you doing it? Like $500 a month,
Yeah.
with no return on investment. I mean, and I'm not talking about just 1 month or 1 month, but I'm talking about years that he'd been doing this. And,
right.
It should be bringing some return on investment somewhere. So I'm sure when entrepreneurs actually sit down, and I think it's so important to have someone else help you look through it, because it's just like when we're doing our own marketing, for instance. We look at it with our glasses on, not with somebody else who is a professional in the area like you, who can really bring that expertise to it. So, yeah, good one. Any other particular stories of maybe hidden profit?
Absolutely. And
Go ahead.
Yes, another one that I see a lot of times is, a coach or, a professional, if they've got packages, let's say it's a 6-month package, and or longer, and they're trying to incent clients to pay up front. I see a lot of times people will discount and say, oh, well, I'm going to give a discount if you pay me all up front, as opposed to doing the monthly plan. One danger of that is, again, making sure that you run your numbers. But I had one client who was giving 1 month free. So for a 6-month package, and saying, I'll give 1 month free if you pay up front. Well, yes. And ended up, she had she didn't realize until we were walking through her profitability exercise. And she said her mouth dropped again. And she says, oh my gosh, I actually had 3 clients this month that paid up front. So I just gave away $7,500 in discounts. And so that was revenue that did not come in, because she was using that as an incentive to pay up front.
Right.
So had to kind of do the mind shift there. It was the mouth drop, and saying, wow, I didn't realize that how much I was giving away in order to incent people to pay up front. And so we had to rework her incentive there.
Sure. And so
that kind of made her a little sick to her stomach when she realized that.
Yeah. So I think for those people listening, a lot of them create packages or programs, and they do give some incentive for paying up front. And I've always been the philosophy, the upfront, that's what it really costs. If you're going to pay on a payment plan, then that's a privilege you get. So I'm like funding it, so it's going to cost you a little more if you're going to do a payment plan. That's been my philosophy. I don't know about yours.
Yes. That bingo. That's exactly. We have the same philosophy. So it is a privilege. Because you don't have the cash flow up front to pay up front. I will allow you. I want you to buy into my program. So I created a 3-month or 6-month, payment plan to help you with your cash flow. But to your point, yes, I'm kind of paying for that up front. So you have to pay a little bit extra to be able to take on this privilege of a monthly payment.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's cool. So hidden profits, one was in like subscriptions, one was in giving away discounts. Anything else
Yes.
anything else along that line that you can think of?
The other thing, yes, I mean, again, I think the most important thing is for a business owner to understand what's my break-even number? Like how many, clients or products do I need to sell each month to be able to break even? And again, that all goes back to understanding your numbers, understanding your financial obligations. But, do you need 10 clients a month or sell, 10 packages a month to be able to have, break even and then start having a positive cash flow from there? Because that's going to really drive your marketing efforts or your, prospecting efforts, because you're going to know how many you need in your pipeline or how many products or clients you need each month to be able to break even.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. So I just want to talk about maybe your personal experience and then maybe a little bit about your book. So I know that your book starts with an amazing story. So I just thought maybe you might like to share a little bit of that, because I think it'll encourage people to perhaps reach out and purchase your book.
Yes. So my book, the reason why it kind of all started, I was tapped to help a business owner that had completely commingled their money. They had their personal and business money all together running in one. They were borrowing from the business to pay for the personal mortgage, et cetera. And on paper they looked like they were doing great. He was he was bringing in 100 to 150 in consulting fees per year, but really didn't have a good handle on the expenses. So started realizing that his partner, who was paying for the bills, was taking money from the personal life to fund the business, or vice versa. And then really they got in a lot of trouble, where they woke up and realized that they were going to have to foreclose on their house if they couldn't come up with the money to pay for their mortgage. So it was, this whole, I've had this dream, I'm living this retirement lifestyle, I've got everything funded, and then all of a sudden comes crashing down when the curtain opens and, tax audits and everything start to happen, and they start realizing there was no money left in the business. And it was really sad, especially since this business owner had been very, very successful and completely, had to shut this business down, had to sell his dream retirement home and just start completely over. So that was the kind of the why behind my book. There's lots of stats out there that say, business owners don't usually last more than 3 to 5 years. And so my book was really, here's the top 21 lessons, common themes that I keep consistently seeing that business owners are getting wrong in their business. Right? Because a lot of business owners, especially creative entrepreneurs, don't come from a business or financial background. But even with my business school background, I learned business school from a corporate standpoint, but not so much from an entrepreneur standpoint. So that's why I put this book together. It's the 21 lessons that I see both new entrepreneurs as well as seasoned. I've had business owners that have been in business for 8 to 10 years that said they really wish this book had existed when they started their business, because they made every single one of those mistakes that I listed in the book. So it could have cut their time in half in terms of, getting successful and becoming profitable.
Congratulations for that. I think that is so valuable. And yes, it is too bad that your book wasn't available sooner for some of these people, but it is there to help those people who are now starting out and not necessarily starting out, but they're on their journey, and that these 21 lessons can really, really make a difference in their profitability. And so they won't become like that gentleman who you were telling the story about, who had to close his business. I just do want to mention for those people who are listening that your book is American. It does talk about, some American, how would I say it, savings plans like the 401k, and, the tax system is a little different. But for me, the lessons are the same. It doesn't matter what country you're in, the lessons are still the same. So thank you so much for writing the book.
Yep.
If you, had one thing that you would like to leave our listeners or watchers with, what would that be, Sylvia?
If you don't have this already, the number one thing that I would love everyone to do is to create that list of all your financial obligations. Get it all in one place, both your monthly and your yearly obligations. Have it all in one place so that you can see what is your monthly cash flow that's going out to pay for, to run your business, so that you understand how much money you need to bring into your business just to break even.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I'm going to put Sylvia's website, her contact information. She has an online course. Her book is available on Amazon, of course. And yes, she has an online course. And I'm going to put the link to that in the information. And she has a gift for everybody who is watching. And it is 10 critical steps. So I'm not quite sure, but maybe Sylvia, you would just give us a quick insight into that.
Yes, so it's the 10 steps that, as you're closing out the last quarter of this year, in order to get yourself financially organized, these are the 10 things that you should get done so that you can close 2019 on a clean slate and be able to start 2020 on, with a bang.
Perfect.
So it's just to get all your finances in order so that you can get everything, so you can wrap up and understand where you are.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today. I know that we've had a little challenge here with the internet and the lag time. And if you're watching this, the video might not be exactly clear, but certainly the audio is there, and there's some tremendous takeaways. Thank you so much, Sylvia Inks from SMI Financial Coaching. Take care, and thanks for watching. Bye for now, everyone.
Great.